Welcome back to my kitchen. Over the last few years, I've shared so many of our everyday meals. I'm not a professional chef, just a busy mom who loves feeding my hungry family healthy, real food. Today I'm sharing my top 30 favorite lunches and snacks. These are the recipes I still keep on repeat because they are wholesome, nourishing, and made from scratch. You can expect simple, satisfying meals that are 100% family approved. This is a longer, cozy video. It's perfect to play in the background while you cook, or maybe you fold laundry, or even you go about your day. My hope is that these recipes nourish your home, your heart, and your table. So come on in. I hope you feel right at home here. Let's get started. Because for Easter we got to enjoy desserts, we've been craving sweets a lot, and I like to have a healthy sugar-free snack on hand for the kids. The only thing I dislike about this recipe is that it disappears fast. I never have leftovers, even for the evening. Start by peeling 3 bananas, then mash them well. Good morning! Crack an egg, mix well, add sour cream or yogurt, frozen berries, cinnamon, some flour, and a bit of baking soda. You're welcome. Mix it very well. 2. Because of the travel life, I don't have a muffin baking tray, but if I fill the paper liners about halfway, they don't change shape almost at all. So I pour 1 spoon in each, then bake for about 15 minutes at 320 Fahrenheit. Now I don't know what your favorite soup is, but I fell in love with this one. Veggies, herbs, and some meat is all you need. Start by boiling some water in a pan. Here I have about 2 pounds of beef chunks that I cut into smaller pieces just to boil faster. You can use any protein of your choice. If it has bones, even better. Let it boil for about 40 minutes without bones and about an hour and a half if it has bones. Add about a teaspoon of salt, cover, and let it boil. We chop 2 red peppers and set them aside. Finally, chop an onion. In a pan, add 2-3 tablespoons of olive oil, and in goes the onion to saute for about 7 minutes with the peppers. From time to time, you'll have to skim the foam from the meat. Chop some carrots into small cubes. Here I have about 3, and add them to the mixture to saute for a few minutes, along with about half of a celery root cut into cubes. I add this to the mixture too. Saute for about another 2 minutes, then move on to the herbs. For this soup, it's very important to use lovage. It really enhances the soup, so it's not really an optional ingredient because it really brings a special flavor. Once you have a bunch of it, add it to a bowl. Then chop a lot of green onion and add that too. We also need a bunch of finely chopped cilantro. Just trust me, these greens make such a big difference. I leave the greens in a bowl for now. My meat is fully boiled. I chop it into roughly small pieces, then add them back to the soup, followed by the vegetables. Give it a quick mix, then I let them cook for another 20 minutes or so. A very important step now is to mix 200 grams of sour cream with 2 egg yolks. I season the soup with some salt. I bring some of the hot broth into the sour cream first so the eggs don't curdle. Once the mixture is warm, I add it to the soup. Give it a nice mix and let it cook on low heat for another minute or so. Then turn off the heat and add the herbs. You can see how beautiful it is. Feel free to leave it like that, but I recommend adding 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. Served warm or even cold, it is delicious, so refreshing and high protein. Three eggs and mix them very well with a pinch of salt. Add 1 cup of sugar, then mix until it melts in the eggs. I add 500 grams of unsalted cow cheese, then give it a very good mix. Add about 2 tablespoons of vanilla extract and butter, followed by some sour cream. Mixing very well is the most important part. Traditionally, you would now add lots of raisins, but if you don't like them, either skip them or use some nuts instead. Finally, add some all-purpose flour. Another really good mix. Because we travel a lot, my kitchen equipment is limited, and this is how I manage to use a simple pan as my baking sheet. I make sure I get the parchment paper inside, covering the entire surface, including the walls. I kind of shape it by making a circle, then the walls of the pan, to make sure it sticks well. I spread butter all over it. My dough rose beautifully. I will leave a link for the recipe. It's my sweetbread dough recipe. I cut about half of it, then I set aside 2 small pieces of dough to give it a nice shape later. The dough will be at the bottom. I add it to the pan carefully. It even has walls on 2 sides, then I add the cheese mixture. Now you can leave it like that, or you can also shape it like me. I try to make a cross on it. I cover the dough with a bit of egg yolk, then bake it for about an hour at 320 Fahrenheit. My pasta baked beautifully. A part of the crust fell down into the dough while baking, so I just put it upside down. The other half of the dough will become babka. I make sure I make a very long, thin layer, then I spread it with Nutella and cover it with some chopped hazelnuts. Roll it, then cut it in half carefully. I try to shape it a bit and bake it at 320 Fahrenheit for about 35 minutes. What I do to make sure it doesn't burn is that after 20 minutes, I cover it with parchment paper. The beauty of spring recipes is the herbs. I chop a lot of cabbage, a lot of green onion, and a lot of cilantro. About 3 carrots into thin cubes, 2 red peppers, 1 big onion chopped finely, and half a celery root cut into small cubes. I chopped more dill and cilantro, and in the meantime my babka was ready. And for a few hours before adding it to a plate. The bone part from the are very cute, as you can see. For the meat, I clean it from time to time. I saute the white onion and the rest of the vegetables in a pan for about 7 minutes. When the meat is ready, I take it out and cut it into small pieces. I also strained the boiled water to make sure it was clean and had no bones inside. Add the meat back, add the sauteed vegetables too, and let them boil for 20 minutes until they are fully cooked. In a bowl, add 200 grams of sour cream followed by 2 egg yolks and give it a very good mix. We want to add it to the soup. For the soup, start by adding some of the broth into the egg mixture just to make sure that the eggs don't curdle. Once they become warm, add the full mixture into the soup. Now it's time to add some of those herbs on top, the more the better honestly. Towards the end, add a bit of vinegar to make it slightly sour. Of course, adjust it based on your taste. In hot water, add about a pound of ground beef and let it boil. In a bowl, I added the egg whites left over from my previous dough, but you can use 5 eggs instead. Beat them very well. In a pan, saute the pepper and the green onion for a couple of minutes. Add 2 cloves of minced garlic. On top of the eggs, add the ground beef, the dill and the cilantro, and then the sauteed green onion and red peppers. Give it a good mix. For seasoning, I add salt and paprika. Add it to a baking sheet and bake for about 45 minutes to an hour until there is no water left. My drop is ready too. I'll let it cool down. On a baking sheet, I add some pieces of lamb, season with salt and black pepper, drop in a lot of chopped garlic cloves and some red wine. Cover with aluminum foil and bake for about 1.5 hours at 400 Fahrenheit. My meat is ready and very tender. We'll start off with 2 cups of red lentils that we add in a bowl. Then we cover in water and let them soak for about 10 minutes. Meanwhile, we'll start chopping a white onion. This will be the base of our dish. Peel the skin off and chop it as finely as you can. Something that seems to be working if the onion makes you cry is to just rinse the knife under cold water. As you get rid of the juice, the onion juice, and then you can just keep chopping your onion. It's not perfect, but it's definitely improving the whole process. In a stainless steel pan, add some oil, ideally olive oil, then add your onion and give it a quick stir. About 2-3 cloves of garlic minced added right on top and grate about a tablespoon of ginger. Add it to the mixture, then mix. Sauté then for another minute or so. The kitchen will smell really nice. Bring some ripe tomatoes. Here I got a bunch that I rinse under water. Immediately add some yellow curry paste. Then chop the tomatoes into cubes and add them on top, followed by some salt. Tomatoes. Yes. Do you want more mandarin? Yeah. Okay. Okay. We add some salt. Not too much. With a quick mix. And here we go. Cover and in about 5 minutes it should be ready to mash. My lentils are ready now. Add them into the tomato base and cover with coconut milk. Then a splash of water. The coconut milk will give it a nice creaminess, but if you don't have on hand, water is fine as well. Let's move on to the next recipe, which is homemade buns. Just water, yeast and salt, followed by flour is what you need. Let it rest for about half an hour, then take by hand some dough and roll it into a ball. Add it on the parchment paper. I know it looks sticky, but it is very delicious and they're gonna bake beautifully still. Covering with sesame seeds is a must in our house, then bake at 500 for 15 minutes. You can add some spinach and cilantro for a bit of color. Another staple in our house is this other curry recipe. I peeled 2 carrots and I finely chop an onion, add 2 finely chopped garlic cloves, give it a quick mix, and meanwhile roughly chop the carrots and an eggplant. I added only the carrot because the eggplant cooks very fast, and some yellow curry paste. Saute for 1 minute, then add some coconut milk with a splash of water. 5 minutes later, add the eggplant and let them cook for another 5 to 7 minutes. Here I added mussels, but you can do it with shrimp, with meat, salmon, almost any protein of your choice. Cook for another 2 minutes and add on top the cilantro. I do like to freeze the leftovers and just build my freezer with remaining meals that are so nice to find home when you're on a rush or when you're just not in the mood of cooking. Something quite crazy here is that granola is almost $10 per a tiny package, and not only that, but it also has seed oils and sugars that I just don't want. So this is my homemade granola recipe that is way cheaper, and I can guarantee it was very delicious. Oats, lots of them. I do like sesame seeds, some cashews, some almonds and walnuts that I roughly chop. It's quite customizable depending on what you have in your pantry. Some cinnamon and give it a quick mix. Then add this on top of the dry ingredients and mix as well as I can. You want to make sure that every piece of oat has the oil on it. A tip that I consider very important, and it seems that it just saved my granola's recipes, is just mixing every 5 minutes or so, because it really does burn very fast. So by mixing and taking a look at it and maybe getting some heat out of the oven just seems to give it just a perfect texture. Let it cool down, then add to your container Greek yogurt with blueberries. The kids really love it. Previous videos, you know that during fasting periods we eat lots of hummus. It's the high protein alternative. Mash the chickpeas, add salt, some lemon juice. I kind of decided to skip adding garlic. I noticed that I'm not quite happy during pregnancies with raw garlic, and so even if we skip it, it's actually very enjoyable. Here I make over a kilogram. It's 2 cans of 800 grams. Then I just add lots of tahini. I pretty much save a part of it for today and a part of it I will freeze. It's a very easy snack with some carrots or pita bread, or even just a plain lunch because it has the protein we are looking for and we just have. I did have this dough left and the kids were asking for some pizza, so here we go. By hand I shape it very fast. For us doesn't have to be perfect. Tomato sauce and then some mozzarella. We keep it simple, and indeed it was a real success because the kids ate it pretty fast. There's no meal prep without a salad, and this week we just used simple regular ingredients like cucumber, lots of cucumbers honestly because the kids really love it, a red pepper for some crunch, and some tomatoes. This is super customizable, but we like to serve it with sesame seeds, walnuts, some salt for taste, black pepper, and some lemon juice. Feel free to add a bit of tahini. Later on I realized that it can enhance very nice the salad. Another day, another just one pat recipe. Finally chop an onion. It can be red or white. Here I just run out of the white one, so I just use what I had. I set it aside, then finally chop some garlic. I just add it on a plate with the onion, grate some ginger and roughly chop some cilantro. As the preparation is ready, add some oil in your pan and start transferring the onion first. Saute for 3 to 4 minutes, then add the garlic and ginger. Saute for a minute, then add the spices. Salt, 2 tablespoons of curry powder, or you can add more for taste. Some cumin powder, here I do about half a tablespoon, and less than a teaspoon of garam masala. Add the chickpeas, followed by some coconut milk with some water. All it needs is 7 to 10 minutes on a low heat. At the end, we add the cilantro and squeeze a lemon or a lime. This is perfect to serve with rice or even pasta. Out of food, I decided to make this beef stir fry, which is very low on carbs, especially if you don't add rice to it or noodles. I'm using ground beef for protein. Here I'll use about 1 pound, but you can do this with chicken, with pork, you can do it even with shrimp, you can do it with no meat at all and just use a bunch of vegetables or even tofu. It's so delicious. I had some ground meat left in the fridge to use and I added a little salt, a little black pepper, give it a mix and let the meat cook while you get everything else prepped. For the veggies, this is a great time to clean out your fridge. I had some broccoli, a red pepper and a green bell pepper that I just sliced up, and these are perfect. This is what I have on hand, but like I said, feel free to use anything that you have. I'll bring a zucchini and ideally you grate a carrot. I forgot, I got distracted with the kids and I just skipped it, but carrot is very recommended. I just remembered I had some mushrooms to use as well, so then I chopped some of them. I had some garlic, it really melts nice in this recipe. I use 4 cloves, adjust based on your taste, saute for a couple of seconds. For this, I won't make any sauce, I'll use lemons from the garden. Now it's perfect time to use some. I just squeeze right on top at the end. They are so sweet and perfectly ripe. I like to add a bunch of fresh cilantro for that fresh taste. Now I have some rice cooking, but feel free to use pasta, noodles, eat it by itself, even with bread it's great. But to make this recipe it's so easy. Add your veggies, cook those for a few minutes so that they become tender. It's so healthy, so delicious, versatile, and such a great weeknight go-to because it takes no time at all to put together. It's a great clean out your fridge type of recipe. It makes everyone happy, doesn't dirty up a bunch of pots and pans, and comes together in under 15 minutes, which I love. I have about a pound here that is still half frozen. No worries, it will cook pretty fast. You can definitely personalize it more with your favorite spices, but I prefer to keep it simple with salt and black pepper only. It takes about 20 to 25 minutes to have it ready. Then I add frozen chopped cilantro. We usually use fresh, but this time because I ran out of fresh one, I just used the reserves from the freezer. To make things easy and to keep it fresh, I add it into a glass container and I move on to the next main ingredient, which is eggs. Normally the recipes are using about a dozen, but for me 10 was enough. I feel like one of the big advantages in living here is to just have fresh organic eggs. You know better than me how to get them very soft. I don't add salt or anything, just cook them in lots of butter, then add them into a glass container. Third main ingredient is cheese. I do some kind of cheddar cheese. It's a Danish brand, as this is kind of the best we can get here. Now I set this. Let's ensemble the burritos now. This lavash is very long, so I just cut one big piece into two, add some of each egg, meat, cheese, and feel free to enhance the recipe with other things if you want, but I just want things as simple as I can. Roll it, you might do a better job than I added some cheese at the end to kind of stick the sandwich. to the sandwiches. Aside and move to the next important dish of the day, which is meant to last months. Cooking liver is something maybe not very enjoyable for many. I just leave you a quick list of the benefits that this organ can have for our bodies. I clean the main skin, then I cut it into cubes. Here I have about a pound. I cook it in butter, lots of butter. It cooks pretty fast, about 5 to 6 minutes should be fine. To enhance the flavor, I cut an onion into thin slices. You can cook it before or after. I noticed it's not a big difference. I season with some salt and let it cook another few minutes. I usually take 1-2 bites a week or anytime I want when not pregnant. I keep it in the freezer and just take a piece from time to time. This is actually one of the best supplements you can get, also due to the bioavailability as it actually absorbs in your body. Next, let's cook my chicken noodle soup that I think every week I cook, sometimes even 2 times a week. One thing that might seem nasty, but I really enjoy buying the chicken that has most of the organs still inside, especially the liver. It's so great to just cook it in the soup and to see in the same time the health of the chicken. If it would have had some problems, some health problems, you would see on the liver with some stains or anything weird. So I started with the legs. I cut them. I'll show you in another video a better representation of it. If you want, let me know in the comments. Pretty much I cut the membranes first, then move to the chest and back, and then remove, when I get the opportunity, the liver and the stomach. It's really nice to see that it's not a very big size, it's just a normal tiny chicken. They seem very organic, which is probably very likely. We buy from ladies who raise them in their own gardens, not farmers with factories of chickens. I don't really keep the neck and the head. There are ways to keep more of it. Now the way I cook is the following. I add it all in a pan with boiling water just to clean it very well from blood and the remaining leathers. You saw it has some itch in there. In the meantime, let's make the noodles, which are very easy to make. 1 egg with a bit of baking soda, then flour until I get the consistency of a dough. My way of cooking is on fast mode. Normally, in order to get these noodles perfect, you need to let them dry for at least 2-3 hours, but I usually let it rest 10-15 minutes only. While it rests, I add the carrots and the onion into the soup. Feel free to add the celery here, the flavor makes it even better, but I just couldn't find to buy for some reason today. I season with salt, and while that cooks, I move to the next dish. Let's go to our noodles. The dough is pretty dry now, and I add some flour on a clean surface, then roll it with a spoon that I have, which is a spoon holder. Minimalistic equipment while traveling, but it worked very well. Once you fold it in a big piece, give it a couple of hours to rest if you have the time. If not, just use a bit more flour to roll it and then cut into tiny strips. It's actually my childhood soup that grandma used to cook so often for us. The risk for this dough is to stick too much and to not get those beautiful layers, but if you're careful, you can make it work. Don't do pasta or other quick alternatives, it's just not the same. As the chicken chest should be cooked by now, I take all of it, including the carrots and onion, out into a bowl, then add the noodles and chop the carrots beautifully. I don't add the onion anymore, I just cut the chest as well into tiny bite-sized pieces and remove the bones. It's very efficient for the kids to eat more independently. Oh, another thing I really like is that it cooks so fast. In 30 minutes it's almost like cutting itself. This is a sign it's fresh and young. If you get a 4 or 5-year-old grandma chicken, you might end up boiling it for hours to get that meat tender. Add it back and then let it cook for another 5 minutes to kind of blend everything together. I add some frozen chopped cilantro. Highly, but highly recommend do fresh. I did it out of necessity, but if you want a real flavorful soup, fresh is the way to go. Sprinkle some black pepper and it's ready. And the taste, it's just amazing because of that chicken broth combined with homemade noodles. The vegetables and chicken were just super delicious as well. The dressings we're using are just lemon or olive oil or maybe yogurt, but that's kind of it. Please leave in the comments below if you have any healthy suggestions, but so far it's which is a bunch of vegetables that I plan to bake with parts of the chicken. I have broccoli, red pepper, a green bell pepper, and I cut them into cubes, nothing fancy. A carrot, just try for the pieces to be uniform to have them cook evenly. I bring a zucchini, use mushrooms if you have. I cook them in olive oil. Add the back of the chicken, the legs and one arm, and I keep the chest and organs for the soup. Something I did was to add an apple, which was actually such an amazing add. Next time I plan to add at least 2-3 more. Followed by an onion, add them to the baking dish, then season with what you have, salt, pepper, maybe some garlic would work as well, and bake at 450 for 30 to 35 minutes. Keep an eye on it, then bake for another 10 to 15 minutes uncovered to 250 to get them crisp a bit. While that this recipe from an Italian chef, and it changed everything for me. I used to really dislike cooking fish, especially now being pregnant. The smell can be so overwhelming, but this method is different. It's so good that it's officially become one of my top favorite recipes. Today I'm cooking 2 pieces. You can use almost any white fish for this, but I believe mine is called dorada, though I'm not 100% sure. In a stainless steel pan, I start with a very generous amount of olive oil, then lay the fish right in. We're going to season it generously with salt and black pepper. Next, chop up at least 4 or 5 cloves of garlic and add them right on top. Now the original recipe calls for cherry tomatoes, but I didn't have any on hand, so I'm using a normal big tomato sliced up to cover the fish completely. This way my husband won't even see if the skin got stuck to the pan. Just kidding, but actually covering the fish with a tomato lets that flavor infuse deeply into the meat, making it incredibly juicy. Cover the pan for a couple of minutes to let it steam, then finish it off with some fresh chopped cilantro. Of course, as a true Romanian, there is no fish without a good polenta. While the fish simmers, start boiling some water with salt. Once it's bubbling, slowly add the cornmeal, mixing constantly without any breaks to make sure it stays smooth and cooks uniformly. It takes about 5 minutes to get that perfect consistency. I love to serve this with a lot of fresh lemon juice. Even though the fish is so flavorful, it doesn't really need anything extra. We have our own lemon trees here, and I'm a huge fan of using them. And there you have it. So easy, so healthy, and ready in under 30 minutes. Perfect for a busy evening. Starting with a fulfilling appetizer, which is a great spring option because it has a lot of fresh herbs. If you don't like to eat liver, I truly believe that this recipe will make you enjoy it. You only need budget-friendly ingredients that are probably already in your pantry. I start by boiling some water in a pan. Here I have about a pound of chicken liver, but you can use beef or lamb if it's easier for you. It will take about 15 to 20 minutes to boil. Meanwhile, I prepare the rest of the ingredients. Chop a bunch of dill as small as you can. We need a lot of green. The flavor is just so nice. I add it to a bowl and set it aside. For the liver, I add about a teaspoon of salt, cover with a lid and let it cook. I'm happy to use fresh green onions from the market. It really brings spring into the dishes. For this, we chop it very thin. We'll need a bunch as well. And finally, chop a bunch of cilantro too. I know it's a lot of green, but you'll see that the taste really enhances this dish. I add the cilantro next to the dill. The green onion stays separate on a plate. This dish has a bit of crunch in it, which comes from the peppers.
Very hot, yes. You're happy? I feel like cooking is a real adventure every day. Thank you!
We'll need to finely chop 2 red peppers.
With the red pepper,
I set them next to the onion. In a separate pan, I add about 2-3 tablespoons of olive oil, then the onion and pepper to saute for about 4 to 5 minutes. As I advance in my pregnancy, I do my best to prioritize cooking in the morning when I have lots of energy, and I cook while I still enjoy some of my coffee. In a plate, I add 2 egg whites that I had left over from last night. I used the yolks in a soup, and I add another 4 eggs.
3,
You can use 5 eggs for this.
4. Bravo!
I mix them well, then I add them on top of the herbs. The liver is boiled enough now, so I move it to a cutting board and chop it into small cubes. Normally I would have to let it cool down a bit to make the pieces nicer, but I don't really have the time for that. It's going to look nice, it's just not as perfect as a chef would make it. It's more of a realistic mother version. I promise it is very delicious. The kids don't really like liver normally, but cooked this way it's a different story.
What is your sippy cup?
Sippy cup is warm.
You can go and bring it. Okay, let's add this on top.
I I add the liver to the egg mixture, then sauteed onion and pepper. I should have used a bigger bowl, but we'll make it work. I season with 2 teaspoons of paprika and 1 teaspoon of salt, then give it a mix. I wish you could smell this. It's such a nice combo of these herbs with a sauteed onion.
You can bring me a bigger bowl? Aww. Okay, hi. Now let's add this into our baking sheet.
Once I transfer the mixture into my baking sheet, I bake at 320 Fahrenheit for about 40 to 50 minutes.
Mommy, find a ball.
Oh, you found the bowl! Thank you!
Mommy, big ball ice.
Thank you!
Mommy,
Okay, we'll use it for the muffins, okay?
where's your tea?
Once it's ready, ideally let it cool down to be able to get nice, even slices when you cut it. You can see it looks beautiful, and the taste, I'm telling you, it's going to make you love eating liver. There's no cooking from scratch without a good soft homemade bread. We'll add lukewarm water. I add a bit of milk to make it soft. This is optional but highly recommended. Followed by active dry yeast and a teaspoon of salt. Then start adding flour, half a cup at a time. My goal is to start making a sourdough starter, but because we travel so much, I can't really just travel with it. Or I don't know, can I? Is there anyone out there doing it? I'm curious because I know you have to feed it every day, and it's pretty much like having another baby to worry about. We'll make it work with yeast. Ideally, you have all the flour you need right next to you. I realized with my messy hands that I needed more. It's quite easy, just knead by hand until you get a nice ball, then let it rest until it doubles in size.
You help with this, yes.
See? No tea. Put the mat back.
Spoon in each, then bake for about 15 minutes at 320 Fahrenheit. My bread dough is ready for shaping. I dust some flour on the parchment paper, shape it into a nice loaf, add it to the baking sheet, and I love covering it with sesame seeds. Bake for 20 minutes at 450 Fahrenheit, then another 20 minutes at 320 Fahrenheit. I made a mistake of over baking it by about 5 minutes because I got distracted with the kid, but it was still very delicious and we all enjoyed it.
Now,
some pickled cucumbers. I chop them into roughly 3 to 4 inch pieces and pack them into a glass jar as tightly as I can. I add a teaspoon of salt and fill the bottom with about an inch of apple cider vinegar. After covering the cucumbers with water, I roughly chop some fresh dill and add it on top. I seal the jar, place it in a pan of cold water and let it boil for about 20 to 30 minutes.
More water. Let's add more water.
My focus is always on high protein meals. For this dish, I'm cubing some beef and searing it in butter until it develops a nice crust. Season with salt and keep an eye on it. It should be perfectly cooked in about 10 to 15 minutes. It's been a while since I've cooked with cabbage, so I'm chopping the head finely to use it in 2 recipes. Part of it goes into a glass container for later, and the rest goes right into the pan with the meat. Add a splash of water and let it braise. Meanwhile, my pickles are done. They just need to cool down. While the cabbage simmers, I'll chop some more dill. This garlic salad. The beef and cabbage are almost ready. I'll season it with black pepper and a generous amount of dill. It's juicy, sweet, and incredibly easy. Is an Israeli dish that we discovered while traveling in Tel Aviv. It was actually quite hard to find the recipe since it mostly appears in Hebrew. After rinsing the gale, I add olive oil and vinegar. I toast some sesame seeds for about 4 to 5 minutes to toss on top. You can add a teaspoon of sugar for balance, give it a mix, and it's ready to serve.
Okay. We add some olive oil. Some vinegar. Okay, I think they are. Okay, let's add this in the. Oops. Wow.
Since Easter, we've had some leftover Nutella, which inspired this quick dessert. Crack 3 eggs with a pinch of salt and beat them well. Then whisk in milk and flour until you reach a pancake batter consistency. I melt a little butter in the pan and pour in about half a cup of mixture, cooking on low for about 1 to 2 minutes per side. I make them a bit smaller so I can stack them up. They are so moist and disappear fast. You can choose any topping, but who doesn't love these thin French-style pancakes? Finally, there's something addictive about this baked mastaccioli. We actually made it 3 times this week. I used 1 pound of ground beef, ground completely, and boil some pasta on the side. To give it a spring touch, I chop a bunch of cilantro and green onion. I also grate about 2 cups of mozzarella and cheddar blend. Add the herbs to the meat and cook for another minute. Once the pasta is ready, drain it and add it to the meat with tomato sauce and a heavy hand of cheese. Save a little for the top. Mix it well and bake at 320 for 45 minutes. For the finish, uncover it, add the remaining cheese and pop it back in for about 10 minutes until it's perfectly melted. This is the perfect lazy recipe and one of my favorites for postpartum because it's so comforting and simple. On a weekday, we're cutting beef into small cubes so it flash cooks in the pan with a little olive oil. While the beef browns, we prep our greens. I'm dropping fresh spinach into boiling water for exactly 30 seconds, just enough to wilt, then immediately into an ice bath to lock in that vibrant green color. I'll add some broccoli florets to the same water for 4 to 5 minutes until they're tender crisp. Back to the beef, a pinch of salt and a splash of water to deglaze the pan and keep things juicy. We're serving this over a quick prep rice. To keep it Mediterranean, I'm folding in freshly chopped cilantro and a bright squeeze of lemon. Assemble it all in a bowl, the fluffy rice, the iron-rich greens, and a generous portion of that savory beef. It's clean, it's fast, and it's miles better than takeout. Finally, we're making 12-minute chicken fajitas. This is all about the sauté. Melt a small knob of butter and toss in sliced bell peppers and red onion. Once they start to soften, add your chicken breast sliced into 1-inch strips for quick cooking. Season with salt, pepper, and paprika. In about 10 minutes, the chicken is juicy and the veggies are caramelized. Finish with lemon juice and more fresh cilantro. I'm serving mine inside a fresh warm pita with a dollop of Greek yogurt for that creamy probiotic finish. It's a perfect handheld lunch that feels like a treat. If you're struggling to eat healthy without spending many hours in the kitchen, I want to give you a free gift. I've spent many hours to break it down into a 30 recipe book for energy, recovery, and weight loss. Go to the description and grab it, it's absolutely free.